I'm going to say this as delicately and compassionately as possible. Bella Ramsey, who plays Ellie, her facial features do look similar to the facial features of somebody with Down syndrome. And I had to look up to see if she had a slight bit of Down syndrome. She doesn't! No extra chromosomes, she's just a normal person. And I'm sure as the series goes on, I will stop seeing this and I'll be emotionally involved in a character and I'll get lost in that.
Yeah.
If the series is going to work, that needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But so far, yeah, I'm finding it hard to buy into her being a badass, considering that she looks like she has Down syndrome. Because Down syndrome people aren't normally badass. So Mark, I did some research for this review and found out this show is based on a video game. A video game, you say? What is said video game? I had the exact same thought. So I looked it up. Video games, aka computerized games, are electronic games that involve interaction with a user interface, a joystick, a controller, to generate audio-visual feedback. So it's like a movie that you move for some reason? Video games?
Can you believe this guy? I didn't. Yeah, no, I'm glad to know you've been listening to me as I've been ranting to you about how good this game is for the last since it came out. What, 20 years? No. Well, no, fucking hell, 2003, that's, holy shit.
Did it come out in 2003?
Yeah, that's when the apocalypse happens, because that's how the world was when the game was released.
Yeah.
That's why you see, in the game, if you pay attention, you can literally see people with PlayStation 3s, and all that sort of shit.
Yeah.
It's 2003 is when the game was released, so that's when the apocalypse happened. In fact, the apocalypse happened the day it released.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow, wait, they got that shit together.
Yeah, fucking cool, right?
That is pretty cool.
I still can't believe fucking, there's no way it's that old. Jesus.
2003.
No, why is it based in 2003?
I don't know. Do you want me to dig when The Last of Us first game came out?
Maybe the game's different from the movie.
I think it is. I think the game is like...
They did it because 20 years from 2003, because that was actually what it was at this time. But when the game came out, that doesn't work for the show, damn. In my head I was like, fuck yeah, that's not. True. I'm glad it's not 20 years old, but that made me feel so old.
When did it come out, do you know?
Not off the top of my head. I was working at Jellyfish though. One bought me a copy for it.
So a long time ago.
Yeah.
10 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah.
If not 11 or 12. I don't know. But yeah, it's been out for ages.
The Last of Us came out in... Just said like 1977 or some fucking shit, which is completely wrong.
It's so random. 2003. It's like, what?
That's wrong. So we open with this talk show from like 1968. We got the actor from The Mummy who played Jonathan. I don't know if you're familiar with the Mummy movies. They're terrible schlock, but as a kid I watched The Mummy and The Mummy Returns several thousand times.
Yeah, I remember you talking about it at school.
Yeah, they're not good movies. They don't hold up, but
when you were a kid, they're great.
Yeah, I mean they're a certain kind of schlock. They rub a certain schlock.
It's Brendan Fraser. It's fun to watch Brendan Fraser. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and the guy, the botanist, whoever the fuck he was, who says the speech, he's good in The Mummy, and he's good in here. It was
Dude, he fucking nailed it, and it really set the tone of what the fuck is happening. See, in the game, it doesn't do that.
Yeah.
You kind of figure it out as you play. You know, they don't go into that much.
But the show was like straight up, this is what's happening, this is how it works, this is how it functions, these are the stakes, this is how big it is, this is how crazy it's gonna get. It's clear, it was concise, it was straightforward, it gave us all the information that we needed.
It was tense.
Yeah, and it kind of like bought into all that like COVID hysteria and stuff that we've all just been through. It's kind of funny that we've all just like lived through this pandemic and gone through all this shit.
Yeah.
So we're much more like in the mindset of pandemics and sickness and crazy, so it feeds into that. It kind of came out with the right time with that too, I guess.
Yeah, no, that worked really well, but the way, just the way the audience reaction to like and everything was just like, Like, they were listening, they were like terrified.
Waiting for some joke that you're like host of the show to be like, now John with the weather.
He tried. He was like so happy at the start.
Yeah, he was like,
He was so happy. And then all of a sudden, as he's going on, you were just seeing his smile slowly fade, and just we're fucked, and then bang, and then it's like, what happens? You know, we lose.
Yeah,
just like
game over,
by the way, I set it up really well because in the game it's. Then you wake up as Sarah. She wakes up and it's nighttime, and she heard some noise outside and shit going on. She hears sirens and sort of shit, and she's calling for Joel. He's not home.
Yeah.
This isn't what happens in the show.
Yeah.
They execute it differently, but it works. That's the crazy thing. Yeah, he essentially, so you're just from Sarah, shit's going wrong, it's dark, your dad isn't there. He was there earlier. No, the game starts in the scene at the start with the couch, actually, before that.
Yeah.
I haven't played the game in a while.
That's fair.
Like the first one, anyway, I played the second one recently.
Yeah.
But it's that scene on the couch they're having where she gives him the watch.
Oh, yeah.
Which I thought was really cool in the show, the way they expand on it. Because he comes home, she's asleep on the couch.
Yeah.
And she wakes up and he's like, what are you still doing up? And they have that whole conversation.
Yeah.
But seeing how she got it repaired and everything, it was really cool. They built into it a lot.
It was like 33 minutes from the beginning to the time jump into our time. And I thought it spent just the right amount of time setting up these characters and their relationship. It generally, got me invested in, what's her name, Sarah?
Sarah.
I liked her. She was a cool fucking character, and I got emotionally invested in her, and I cared for her.
Yeah.
And you kind of seeing the day through her perspective, and then in the background you got this weird shit going on, so it's like...
Yeah, if you're paying, at first it's not much.
Suspense.
But then it starts getting more.
Yeah.
And it's just her, and he wouldn't really pay much attention to it. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. But and it just builds and builds and builds and builds. It's in the game, she's all of a sudden after they do the whole watch thing, she just wakes up and Joel's not home and she has no idea, has to find him. She sees an explosion in the distance, and that's when the news report comes on explaining that there's actually, the news report's happening before the explosion, because she's explaining that there's been a leak or whatever the fuck happened to the lab. And then all of a sudden the camera goes and then the camera goes blank, and then you hear an explosion and you look over the window and you can see it in the distance.
That's cool.
And then it's just different, and Sarah's way of finding what's her face, that old granny thing. Do you have any build up you want to do before I get into this?
No, you can talk about this now. I was talking about themes and suspense and tension.
I'm probably going to go into a lot of comparison in this video, just so you're aware, guys.
That's why you're here now.
But what I was saying, so in the game, you essentially go downstairs, you know what's going on. Joel's phone's on the bench, it's got 100 missed calls from Tommy. Another cool thing in the show, you hear what Tommy's saying on the phone. In the game, from Sarah's perspective, she has no idea what Joel's talking about to Tommy on the phone. And then she wakes up, he's gone, she comes downstairs, and she hears a dog barking in the distance, and then all of a sudden it just stops. You know, and then all of a sudden Joel just bursts in the back door, and he's like, Sarah's got blood on him and stuff, and he's like, we need to get out of here, blah 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 blah. And then the neighbor comes and he's infected. And runs and tries getting in through the door and smashes through the window, and that's how Sarah first encounters that thing. Because with Joel protecting her, and he shoots him in front of her, and she goes, he was your neighbor. We've known him my whole life, sort of thing, and you killed him, sort of thing. And it's this big thing, and then he has to go in the car, and Tommy's just out the front waiting. But in this one, Tommy has breakfast with them, and you get this.
She goes to school. You see her go to the shop to fix a watch. She makes scones. She rents a DVD. Grandma is out of focus in the background doing some creepy shit. That scene was really amazing.
Like I said, now while I say it's different, doesn't mean it's not amazing in the show. I was absolutely shocked. They changed it without fucking it up. That is impossible to do these days.
No. It's not even changing stuff. It's just being well written.
Joel not. That's true. That's true. Yeah, because it still fits.
Yeah.
And it still fits perfectly to the story. It does. I was a little bit upset that Joel wasn't with her when she first saw her. Infected, but not enough to care.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Just a little part of me.
That's fair. So yeah.
One more thing, sorry. The casting choices.
Yes.
Now,
We'll get to later cast members later. But.
Yeah, with Sarah and Joel, right? I mean, it makes sense because Pedro Pascal, he's like Mexican, somewhat like not Mexican but Spanish.
Yeah, he's from South America, somewhere in South America.
Yeah,
he's from. Ding. This is like Russia.
So it makes sense for Tommy to be Spanish in this, somewhat Spanish, right? Yeah, Joel isn't in the game.
Yeah.
He's like full-blood Texan. Full Texan accent, which I think Sarah's character and Joel's character are lacking hardcore in this. Once again, I don't care, but that Southern accent is like, when she's like, drugs, I sell hardcore drugs, ha 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 ha. Just the way she says, drugs, I sell hardcore drugs. And just the little Texan dynamic that Joel, Tommy, and Sarah have that no one else in the game has. Because they're in Boston. In the quarantine zone.
Which is completely different. That's like on the other side of Texas. Texas is over here, and then where it's far away. They're completely different folk over there in Boston.
Exactly. Pedro Pascal, he looks like he does a good job of looking like Joel. Sarah had short blonde hair. The white girl with short blonde hair.
Yeah.
They changed the cast. At first I was like, what? But then she completely nailed the part to a extent. So I don't give a shit. Now, that's cool. It caught me off guard. Even Tommy's character, him with his fucking trusty sniper rifle he has, he only had a pistol in the game. But in the second game, he becomes known for that sniper rifle.
Nico Parker is the girl that plays young Sarah. And I thought she did amazing. I was like so invested.
No, like you say, 33 minutes.
33 minutes.
And she got you.
And that's
so
what the news report at the beginning.
I was in tears.
Yeah.
Like 33 minutes.
Not only are they setting up the characters and the relationship going forward, but they're just like subtly, they have this subtle score, same composer as the video game, I believe. And it's a very subtle score, but just the tension, the suspense is mounting.
I'm so glad they got the guy, don't know his name, but they got the guy who did the soundtrack for the games.
Yeah.
It completes it. That is, if you didn't have that, I feel like, even though it looks so much like The Last of Us, it wouldn't feel
that's
like
fair. I've never played the video game, so I can't speak to that. But
it's amazing.
Yeah, it was a very subtle but effective score, I would say. It wasn't like, it wasn't calling attention to itself. It was just like allowing the narrative to feel more epic or tense or whatever.
There was, oh my god, the Sarah death part. Like, that whole scene when they're in the car.
Yeah.
Comparisons, guys. So in that car, you're Sarah in the back, and you can look around. That's all that you can do. You can look around, which they nailed it. Fine. Like, it looked like in the game.
There was a scene that looked very video game-esque.
When they drove past that farm that was burning, that's in the game. The only difference is it's on the opposite side in the game.
Yeah.
Of the road. But Wilson's farm, I think it was. But and
I wrote it down because I liked that flaming house moment. Jimmy's house.
Jimmy's house, there you go.
That's what he says in the show.
It'd be the same. And that was identical. That was great. Even it's Tommy being the one to say it's Jimmy's house was exactly like the game.
Yeah.
But that whole with the plane coming down and that causes the explosion ship, them driving through all the people and stuff, that was literally like identical to the game. If I without a comparison, I couldn't say, but I wouldn't be surprised if all the people were moving exactly the same as in the game, because that was so much like it.
Someone's already A-B'd it on YouTube. I'll cut it in here, but I'm not going to track down that piece of that game and try to find it. I'm not going to do that.
No, that's
but if someone's already A-B'd it and it's up on YouTube, I'll download it and cut it in here.
But in the game, they just get T-boned. Like they're driving along, and a car comes out of an alley because they're freaking out too. So accidents are bound to happen. Yeah. Smash into the side, and that's when Sarah hurts her leg.
This one, a fucking plane explodes.
Yeah, plane
is like kaboom.
Also,
it's pretty crazy too. Yeah, it really fucking like moves. the sound through the speakers was like bang. I was like, holy fuck.
Yeah, it was bright. It was like
yeah,
that little piece that just flies into the car.
Ding, ding, ding. Fucks everything.
Oh, yeah, no, that was that. So that was different. And then there's a whole scene after that where they're chased by infected and like Joel's carrying Sarah before you finally find your way down into that thing. But they cut that out. I'm fine with it. Wasn't necessary. It was just a bit of Tommy shooting you, running and carrying.
Yeah.
But the death scene hit it just as hard, if not harder, than the game. And then the game performance is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
But it was longer in this. Like Sarah died very quickly in the game. Like she's like, I know, baby, I know. He's like, oh, you know, he doesn't sit there applying pressure and shit.
Yeah.
He pretty much just, I know it hurts. Like picks her up almost straight away. Well, this one he sits there and he talks her through it before picking her up. But the cries and everything, the emotion, the feeling was identical.
Yeah.
I was just like, fuck, why do I always, like, I've played that game so many times and watched that. It never gets any easier to watch this guy lose his daughter.
Yeah. And we are both fathers with daughters, so I think we can feel to it on a deeper level than people that don't have kids because we're better than you people! Pedro Pascal's beard. As a person who can't grow a full beard, it's joyful to see him just embracing his patchy, non-full beard with dignity and valor. It brings warmthness to my heart. Every time I see his beard, I'm just like...
It looks real.
Yeah.
It's a real...
It is. He's a real guy.
Yeah. It's fucking cool.
Yeah, I think he pulled it off. And it looks like he's been doing some weights. His arms look bigger. I know, like...
Oh, he's still got nothing on the game Joel.
Yeah, the game Joel's like Hugh Jackman,
he's not like
right?
fucking bang, but his shoulders, he's got power there, you know?
You'd imagine like Hugh Jackman in the role. And then Pedro Pascal come out.
Well, Hugh Jackman was the one who people were talking about if they were ever going to do one, you know? But I mean, I guess he'd be perfectly... Fucking Hugh Jackman should have done it, but Pedro Pascal's doing a great job.
Pedro Pascal's doing a great job. I would like to see Hugh Jackman.
Visually, Hugh Jackman would have looked great.
Yeah, and Hugh Jackman is a great actor. Don't just watch those Wolverine movies, he's in other stuff.
Yeah, but yeah, no, Joel, he was such a nice guy when Sarah was alive.
Yeah.
You know, he was getting along with her and blah, 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 blah. But in the game, at least, 20 years from now, he's a very grumpy, very angry man. He's a very unhitched individual who's been through some shit. I feel like I'm worried that they're going to play a lot more trying to make him a nice guy in this than they did in the game.
Yeah.
It's still early, so it's hard to say, but we'll get to why I'm just saying that later.
Okay.
So plant that seed. But yeah, I do worry about that, but he's doing a great job.
That's
as
fair.
a character.
There was a moment, like initially, when he saves Sarah, and Nate was kind of like, Joel, what's happening? He's like, eating sword, bitch. And he bails on her.
That's right, I forgot about that.
And she gets all fucked up if you see like a flash of light and you see her get taken. And then there's that scene after they drive past Jimmy's house where, there's a family on the side of the road and they're like, help us! And he's like, keep them going,
that was in the game too, yeah.
So there are those moments. But I don't know, people are like talking about like them being anti-hero moments and stuff, but as a dad, it just seems like,
No, 100%. Well, if you've seen someone who's turned, you don't fucking know where that family
the highway is all blocked up. Everything's
all you know
gridlocked.
is that
the power is out. Signals on your phones are down.
You don't know if you're infected, really.
There are like military jets flying above. It's like
if you stop and pull them over, and then in 10 minutes they're like, you know, like you in the back seat with Sarah, like.
Heavy daughter. So I don't know. Yeah, that just seems like.
That's the starting signs of this vicious. I would almost say monster he becomes.
Yeah.
He's a monster, but he's a monster you understand. It's human.
Yeah.
You know, he becomes. You get so invested in survival at that point because you couldn't necessarily trust quarantine zones and stuff like that. So you did some shit. But I'm sure I'll go into that more in the game, in the show.
Yeah.
But, he's just. It's a hard character to fully play.
That's a lot going on.
Yeah, he's a deep and troubled human being. Complete and utter trust issues.
That's
he does like Tess. Tess, I think they did quite well. Doesn't look like she does in the game that much, but that doesn't bother me.
That was his little friend?
Tess, the chick he was with, yeah.
Yeah, and they were beating up and stuff.
Yeah, which was that was interesting too. She in the game you don't see that.
Yeah.
You see her when she comes into Joel.
Yeah.
And says that she got beat up by just a couple of guys, but they're robbers.
So they're just like, they're adding more character moments. And they're cutting out more running around with the zombies. Are these zombies? Can you call them zombies?
They don't. They just call them infected.
Is that in, like, offensive to the rest of this community?
I mean, in The Walking Dead, for instance, they don't call them zombies.
Mm.
They just don't. I don't know. They just don't call shit zombies these days.
Yeah, zombie movies.
Plus, they're not exactly zombies anyway. They're essentially people that are being controlled by a fucking fungus.
Yeah.
Like they essentially are. They're just creatures, but
yeah.
But it's just they're called infected, clickers, etc.
Fair call.
They just get more infected, obviously, over time.
Yeah.
And you do see a clicker on the wall in this episode.
That was pretty cool. Yeah. Do they have the tendrils coming out of the mouth in the video game?
No.
That's a new thing.
That's a thing. People are pretty pissed about that, actually. I don't mind it. You know, it just gives it more of a like alienistic.
From a non-gamer perspective,
vibe.
it was like cool and weird and creepy and like different. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
They really are like a different kind of zombie. They're like fungi.
Yeah. They've leaned into it. They've really leaned into the horror element a lot more in this.
That's cool.
And that is cool. I like that a lot. Gives it a whole extra feel.
It's pretty fucking dark, man. There are moments in it where you're like,
dude, it gets worse. This game gets seriously dark. Wait till you're dealing with people who are 20 years into the apocalypse. Wait till you see what the sort of shit those sorts of people do. Fuck me. And they could expand on it so much in this.
I'm sure I will see in the next 8 weeks.
But yeah.
So the whole situation escalates, a very nice build up. We got planes exploding, we got fucking crazy zombies. They're super quick, they're super jittery, I like their movements, I like their characteristics. They're a formidable antagonist, which creates more tension.
Mm-hmm.
I just liked how realistic the whole like gridlock traffic and all that stuff was. It felt more grounded and natural than like something big and crazy. Just, I don't know, I felt more into it and I could relate to the characters more because I was like, yeah, that would happen.
Mm-hmm. It felt real.
Yeah,
that's the crazy thing about it. It's not just. I don't know. Yeah, grounded. Like, there's no better. I don't think of a better word.
Yeah, it's like realistic-ish.
Yeah, and that's what I love about it. The video game was as well. Like, it just feels so real.
Yeah.
Like, and the fact that it's based on an actual thing that happens to insects.
Yeah.
But makes it even more real.
Yeah. And this whole COVID thing just happened.
That explanation at the start really built into that too, which is very good.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man, when Sarah has to fucking deal with that old granny and shit. Why would you not fucking turn around when you saw that blood on the thing and you saw it, and then you saw a fucking guy there? You're 14.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of there.
Even when the planes were going overboard and Mercy, the dog was barking its head off and stuff.
Oh, that poor dog, when she's sitting there staring at her, but when she's turning, when she's turning, man, that fucking, in the background, she's all like...
Nah, so great.
Ooh.
So yeah, and then Sarah dies and she doesn't say any last words. She doesn't say anything. There's no like touching. You must train the boy, everyone. The boy, train him. The boy. All right, I'm gonna die. I'm dead.
It's legitimately just a girl.
She was
in absolute terror
like
and
gasping
pain.
and hyperventilating and freaking the fuck out. She's like, and then Joel just like cradles her and he's in shock and you know that she's fucked and Tommy knows she's fucked.
Of course he doesn't want to think about it being fucked. I gotta turn off my phone.
Yeah. And it's just like, brutal. She dies. 20 years later, it cuts to this little girl who approaches, what do they call them, like zones? The zone in Boston? It's quarantine areas.
I'm sorry, can we redo that? That took longer than I thought.
You're pretty too well. You want me to say all that again?
I'm so sorry. I was trying to turn it off as fast as possible, but you didn't stop. And I was just like,
I thought I'd just eat up the dead air with continuing.
I was thinking the video wasn't... You're gonna leave this in, aren't you?
Yeah. This is a review, dude. I can't restart.
Oh, okay, so...
Sarah dies. 20 years later, it cuts to Boston, and there's like a quarantined area. And there's this little girl.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about, the quarantine zone.
Yeah, I was just setting that up. There's this little girl, and she collapses. They bring her in, and they put her down like a fucking dog. She tests positive. And this lady's like talking to her, she's telling her about all the stuff she's gonna get, and she's trying to like put on this face of like happy.
See the tears in her eyes.
Yeah, but yeah, the actor just did a great job because you could see the persona she was putting on, but the actual emotion below it. She was like playing two separate emotions simultaneously. Didn't need to say a thing, we all knew it was happening. Hard cut to burning bodies.
It was the most humane way to do it though.
It was!
Like that kid,
That was dark.
You can tell, oh fucking oath it was. It was brutal, but you'd have to do it. What are you going to do? Nah, you know?
Yeah.
You don't want to shoot a kid.
They put them down like dogs.
I mean, if they're going to turn into a fucking infected and infect more people.
I like this. I like the darkness.
Fucking
I'm sick of fucking Disney Plus. Let's go dark, son. I'm ready for some darkness.
Imagine if Disney tried doing this. Thank fucking it's HBO.
Yeah, HBO killing it, as always.
Mm-hmm.
So they put the little girl down like a dog, hard cut to bodies burning.
And Joel being the one to throw her in.
Joel throws a little kid into the fire, obviously like bringing up the Sarah thing immediately. That's like the last scene we've seen him in, cradling Sarah's dead body, a little child, hard cut to him 20 years later. He's just and he's just like doesn't give a fuck. He's like, buh. He's just like out of it. He's like gone, burnt out, like, eh.
It was cool to see what they do, like, because you don't really see what they
like the day-to-day living.
Do shit, you know, they don't have jobs.
Yeah.
Essentially, it was like okay, cool. So yeah, that's what they do because you only ever see Joel and Tess as the lesbian.
Yeah.
But there's obviously so much more to it than
there's the day-to-day life.
I just know that they're fucking depressing places.
This show
Corrupt
is
as
like
fuck.
hopeless and like there's no fun or light. Everyone is like on the precipice of like destruction, and they're all like broken, burnt, fucked people on drugs with guns and this like dystopian nightmare with these crazy fucking zombies.
I think the really cool thing about The Last of Us in general is the fact that yes, the world is exactly like that, the people are like that, but then you get a glimpse of innocence through Ellie, through a child who you have to ferry across all this fucking, all through 4 seasons or whatever it takes for them to do this journey.
Yeah.
And because she, you know, she still plays games, makes jokes, and but she's so serious at the same time when shit's real.
Yeah.
It brings a different perspective, and if they can capture that, it's just gonna be.
That's cool.
Because everyone, it's just so fucked up, and it's
you
nice.
You do kind of need moments of light.
Moments
even
of humanity.
In dark shows,
of the good as well.
Sopranos was so dark, but it was fucking funny. I'm not expecting this to be Sopranos funny, but you need a little bit of light, I think.
Well, they had a bit of humour in this episode, in the start anyway. Joel and that at the breakfast table. I imagine with characters there'll be humour.
Yeah.
Probably not from Joel for a while, but he's still very grumpy about everything and Sarah's death
and stuff.
but yeah. That whole thing with what's his face? Robert. That was way played down in this.
Is this the battery guy?
The guy who was torturing her and shit. There's this whole deal where you have to like fully like kill a fuckload of his men while you're sneaking into the docks to try and find him before he realizes you're coming for him. And then, but in this, it's just kind of like dun 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 dun. Oh, he's all bang, he's dead, and like sort of really quick.
Yeah.
Which I mean, like I said, it's okay. That was fun in the game, but it's not a necessary thing. The important thing was for that to connect them to the Fireflies, to Marlene.
Yeah.
And that's what it did. It served its purpose.
Yeah, you didn't need an action sequence. They can't have an action sequence every time the video game had an action sequence. That'd be a lot of action sequences.
Yeah, well, it's because they're going to keep you entertained as the player. You don't need all that.
Yeah.
I imagine there'll still be a lot.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a few torture scenes too if they keep it true to the.
I look forward to
that goes through in the future seasons as well.
Good old torture.
Yeah, I mean, you know what's going to be good too because of how dark it already is.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to be fucked up.
Mark's looking forward to these torture scenes, ladies and gentlemen.
No, just how they execute them, really.
Yeah.
You know? The way they have like that old lady with the tension and they captured that so well. So surely
we shall see.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say, Pedro Pascal is at least 20% more handsome when he's grey. And it just made me lament on the Obi-Wan series and how they dyed Ewan McGregor's grey beard.
Oh, yeah.
That made me sad. But they're doing it right this time. Pedro Pascal. I think they're actually making his hair greyer than it actually is. Possibly. But I know his beard has a lot of grey through it. That seemed natural. But maybe they're even making his hair greyer on top. I'm not sure. But I was digging it.
Well, Joel had a fair bit of grey in his hair in the game. Like, he wasn't grey or anything. Even in Last of Us 2, he's not grey.
Yeah.
It's just...
Pedro was fucking grey. Pretty grey.
Pretty grey. I mean, he's definitely... Because in the game, you get him when he's young, and then you get him when he's old, so you definitely see the comparison.
Yeah.
His hair's a lot greyer than it was when he was young.
Yeah.
But they've nailed it. I think it was about the same.
That's right. I approve.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Like I said, he did a really good job. The Texan accent, I wish.
It was very subtly there in the Sarah scenes, but I don't remember hearing it after that point.
Oh my god. There's just a few scenes which I feel like they lose a little bit because of without that.
Yeah.
In the game, they're like, I don't know, I guess it's just something about a Texan accent, like a serious, it's not necessarily like a country bumpkin or anything, but like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Yeah. And it's just the plain American accent, you know. It's not, you know.
Maybe I'll play it up a little bit more later
on.
on.
It's a choice, and I don't, like I said, it's just these are just little pet peeves. The show's fucking amazing. I got no real problems with it, but I figured I should give little things like in comparison, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why you're here. That's your
choice. I just love The Last of Us so much. It's so good of a media platform.
I'm going to say this as delicately and compassionately as possible. Bella Ramsey, who plays Ellie, her facial features do look similar to the facial features of somebody with Down syndrome. And I had to look up to see if she had a slight bit of Down syndrome. She doesn't! No extra chromosomes, she's just a normal person. And I'm sure as the series goes on, I will stop seeing this and I'll be emotionally involved in a character and I'll get lost in that.
Yeah.
If the series is going to work, that needs to happen. But so far, yeah, I'm finding it hard to buy into her being a badass, considering that she looks like she has Down syndrome. Because Down syndrome people aren't normally badass.
One thing I'm going to say is, why are you looking for Ellie to be a badass? She's a 14-year-old girl who's never been outside the walls.
I just seen like a scene, like her opening scene was there was a food tray, she kicked it at some lady, and she's like, 8, 9, fuck you,
she's got an attitude. That doesn't make her badass.
I don't know, she seemed like she was trying to be a badass. I was like, are you a badass?
But that's to me, that's part of her character. You know, she's not a badass. She's a really skinny white girl.
Yeah.
She's just, you know, but she has an attitude. And gets into a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
And she swears a lot. But I wouldn't consider her a badass. Maybe later in life, she's a badass.
I thought the show was trying to set her up as like a badass.
I mean, they might, you know, she has her moments.
Yeah.
But I don't know, Joel's a fucking badass.
Okay.
You know what I mean? If you're gonna set the standard of badass, maybe Ellie would definitely be way more badass than any 14-year-old living in our pampered lifestyle.
Not a dystopic zombie.
But I wouldn't read too much into expecting her to be a badass. Like, this isn't Game of Thrones.
Okay.
You know, she's just a 14-year-old girl who has a potty mouth.
So yeah, obviously if the show is going to function, I need to buy into her and her relationship with Joel. And yeah, I'm going to give it a chance. She looks a bit weird. It's weird. I don't remember her looking like that in Game of Thrones. I don't know what's going on.
If she can't nail this relationship with the relationship with Joel, then this is an absolute failed show, because that is what The Last of Us Part 1 is about.
I'm sure they nailed it. But I just want to say, I did do some research. I read the Wikipedia page. And the really weird thing is, the casting for this was done over Skype because of COVID. And Pedro and Bella never, had an audition together and tested the chemistry or anything. They like just met on set for the first time. So that's really weird for a show to cast two of the main characters separately and not have them interact and see their chemistry and charisma before you cast them together. But I think it was just like a COVID Skype kind of thing. So that's weird, but we'll see what happens.
I have faith because just seeing how the actors are.
There was a little moment. They had a little moment this episode. We watched it just before.
Well, yeah, no, you're not going to get moments between them for a while. Okay, Joel, like I said, he's not a trustworthy person. He's very damaged, and she's the same age as his daughter was when she died.
Yeah.
There's a lot there, a lot in Joel.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so if they have chemistry, they should. I reckon they will because the actors have a lot of chemistry. Like I've seen interviews with them, and I've seen a lot of memes, and they genuinely seem comfortable and happy and like.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like if they're that close as actors, they should be able to act close, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, I don't know.
I'm sure she'll be fine. I'm not sold on her at the moment, but I'm sure by episode 3 or 4.
I agree. I wouldn't say I'm sold on her either because Ellie has a certain quality about her that I haven't seen in her yet, but it's early. It's very early days.
Very early days.
She's not doing a bad job by any means.
No.
But yeah, she everything she said felt Ellie. The writing was on point.
Yeah, that's good.
Which is not said easily these days.
Yes, that's a rarity. Good writing.
But yeah, so Marlene.
What's Marlene's story?
She's the head of the Fireflies in Boston, right?
Yeah.
I love the fact that we got to see a Firefly like attack. Like in the game, you get to see explosions in the distance when they're attacking, and then the soldiers close the gate and you can't get through.
Yeah.
But being there during them fucking firing on the fucking squad cars and shit and getting completely annihilated.
Yeah.
Was like awesome.
Yeah.
It was a really cool scene.
That's cool.
But Marlene's ahead of them, and in the game, Marlene knew her mother, Ellie's mother, and her and Ellie were quite close.
Yes.
In the show, Ellie kind of meets her, and then she reveals that she knows her.
Yeah.
Which takes away a fair bit of why. Like in the game, Ellie's very trusting of Marlene, and that's why she could decide, to go with Joel and Tess.
Yeah.
But I don't feel that here.
Yeah, that's weird.
So. I did find out Ellie's an orphan though, so that's good to know. I didn't know that.
Oh really? That's new information.
Well, she doesn't talk. She never talks about her parents.
Yeah.
I think Marlene mentioned she was friends with her mother though. So.
Yeah. So they set up this new dystopic world, and it's very interesting and harsh and hectic. And yeah, I guess the next main story beat is Joel and Ellie meeting, and Marlene being like, "I'm wounded. I'm not gonna take a." Joel wants to get a car battery so he can get it in the car and go find Tommy, his brother. So it's all like, everyone's going to... Is that in the game? You're making noises, Mark.
Him and Tommy, right? In the game, there's no mention of Tommy until a while into the game. Him and Tommy have not spoken in years. They are not... on friendly terms. I'm pretty sure there's a point in the game when he said it, they're like, when Ellie and Joel talk, he's like, what was the last thing he said? And he says, I'll kill you if I ever see you again. Like, they ended on fucking bad terms.
Really?
And I don't know if they can do that now, because he literally mentions how he has been speaking to Tommy.
Yeah, I got the impression that he hadn't seen Tommy for like a few months. Tommy got in with Marlene and is doing stuff with Marlene. He's like, you turned my brother against me. I don't know. Tommy's in deep sugar and he's gonna go save Tommy.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That was.
They're changing it.
See, that's. Well, I mean, so spoilers. Spoiler warning. You don't mind me spoiling it for you.
How big are spoilers?
It may not even be a spoiler. This could be a game comparison. It's just so. It's just going into shit that about happened in the 20 years with Joel and Tommy. In the game, anyway.
All right. Proceed with caution. With caution.
Just keep in mind, the show's a different thing.
That's fair. It might come up in the show.
In the game, from what I can put together. It's not told to you. You know what I mean? It's just comments and stuff like that. Yeah. So, Joel had to do a lot to make sure him and Tommy survived. Some seriously dark shit for their survival. That's essentially all it's said about that. Then Tommy goes off to join the Fireflies. Joel didn't like that, and they fucking
they split.
Done.
Yeah.
And then it's been years since then.
Okay. No, yeah, I get the impression that's probably happening in the show as well.
I hope so, because the fact that they've seen each other spoken recently just caught me off guard. But like I said, it may not necessarily affect it. It may affect it.
Yeah, we'll see.
So better than decent chance making it to Tommy in one of those. The second we hand that kid over.
You'll talk it through, but please remember that I'm bleeding out.
I do have to say that the chick who played Marlene nailed it.
Did she do the voice for Marlene or something? I seen like a little inside the episode after the
I do not have that information. I didn't. If she did, that's fucking cool. It's because I don't know, like the people who play Joel and Ellie look nothing like Joel and Ellie. No, they look nothing like Joel and Ellie.
Yeah.
They just made them look like that in the game. But some of the characters, like Dina in The Last of Us Part 2, looks identical to the chick who plays her.
Yeah.
Hair color, everything.
Yeah.
So it could be the same with Marlene.
The actress said something in there was like a little 5-minute inside the episode thing after the episode on Binge. And she said she was talking about being a voice actor in the video game and playing her role again in the show as the same character. I think that's what she was talking about.
I mean, it makes sense. Like, she was about the right age for it.
It's like Katie Sackhoff with Bo-Katan. She voiced her in the Clone Wars and then played her in live action.
And looks like her, ironically.
Yeah. It was one of those situations. I believe that's what she was working on.
I'm cool with it. Like I said, well, it makes sense so much why she nailed it then.
Yeah.
But yeah, her character was a little different. Seeing the stuff the Fireflies were making Ellie do, and she lied to them about her name, that was interesting.
Yeah.
That was interesting, because like I said, Marley knew her, so it was fair enough, you know? They knew her. They mentioned her, Riley in it too. I can't talk about that. But that was Ellie's best friend. She was, well, I can't talk about that either.
I'm sure they'll go into it. Maybe?
Yes, no, they definitely are going to go into that. I've
Okay.
seen clips of it
Okay.
in the trailers and such. Like because I watched an upcoming The Last of Us.
Yeah, I watched in the weeks to come, but I'm not going to watch the trailer for every episode. I don't get that. That's dumb.
No, I watched that, but that was it.
Yeah. So the show looks really fucking high budget and expensive. It was like one of the biggest productions to ever be filmed in Canada. It doesn't look like your run-of-the-mill Disney Plus fucking thing filmed on a digital fucking screen with cunts on scooters. It looks fucking crazy, massive. I think each episode is like 10 million or something.
They look worth it.
Yeah.
Fucking worth it. This show is hitting hard. It's gonna be fun. It's got like 96% audience rating and 98% Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah. I feel like it's capable of like spreading throughout like the public consciousness and becoming like a big thing as well. Like your Game of Thrones and stuff.
Hopefully it's like
not too hard to get
thing
into.
which will make people fucking try harder. Do you know what I mean? Like, make it better.
House of the Dragon.
Yeah,
and
that's
now
like two great
The Last
HBO
of Us.
shows in the span of
back to back. Beam. Meanwhile, fucking Amazon Prime, you bring out Picard season 3.
And The Rings of Power.
Amazon, you suck! And they cancelled The Expanse.
They cancelled The Expanse?
They cancelled The Expanse.
They might bring it back.
It might bring it back. It got cancelled before and came back. The Expanse will live again. It'll ride again. There's 3 more books, so there could be 3 more seasons.
Oh, they could not, no.
There's a time gap right between like the 6th book and the 7th book as well, and that's where the show ended, the 6th season. So
maybe that's why they cancelled it.
I think they just didn't want to spend any more money on it.
No, I should say they did.
It kind of works into the Expanse mythos of being cancelled and coming back, and the time gap works with what happened in the novel. So we'll see. I love the Expanse. I hope it comes back. But that did not spread through the public consciousness. I thought, it could be like a sci-fi Game of Thrones, but people did not get into it and nobody's seen it. But I think
people aren't as into sci-fi unless it's Star Wars and sci-fi.
It's hard sci-fi too. It's like...
Yeah, they just don't do it anymore.
Yeah, but The Last of Us, I could see like mums watching this and teenagers and 30s, 20s, women, men. This could be a thing.
And that's the thing, it's already got such a massive fan base from the fans. And if they're nailing it, then you've already got a massive thing. And then there's all the people who don't play the games.
They made a good video game adaptation.
And that's just like never.
Maybe.
Never.
We're only one episode in. We still got 8.
I have completely convinced myself at this point that it's going to be good. So if it's not, I'm going to die.
It's going to make for good reviews.
You know, it'll make a good review. But that's going to be one where we get fucked up.
Yeah. The next big story beat is they're trying to escape the zone, and
there's way more to talk about.
I will go on that. Take the lead. Take the lead. I'm just gonna sit back and then cut in with quips every now and then. Quippy quips.
Okay, so Joel meets Ellie. Whatever. Like happy days. They met. You know, there wasn't much there, but that's as per usual. Neither of them wanted to deal with it.
You like threw her into a wall.
Yeah, that doesn't happen in the game. She tries to knife
show.
him, he kind of just swallows the knife off, sort of thing.
This one, she's like, man, he's like,
feeding into the badassery, I think, it's supposed to be.
yeah, she's from
Then he kind of just grabs her arm and throws her off, sort of thing.
Punches her in the face, full strength.
Oh, Jesus.
Elbow to the temple.
I feel like we're in the game was like a dynamic of her fighting with Marlene as if Marlene was like a mother figure to her.
Yeah.
To go with them, which they didn't have in the show.
And Joel's just like, fuck you.
Yeah, and Joel was like, oh, fuck it, are you serious? Like, Tess is the one who has to completely sell the situation.
Yeah, true. This one was very quick.
Joel's just like, I don't want to fucking take her, sort of thing. Like, we are not doing this. Do I have to? He has this beautiful moment in the game when Tess is trying to give him, like, do I have to remind you what is out there?
Yeah.
So, like, pulling out of the wall, like as if like you're not taking this seriously enough.
Yeah.
Taking a 14-year-old into that.
That's cool.
But it wasn't there.
That would have been a good moment.
That was a little thing. They might do it later. Like I said, it's all dialogue. They can fucking mix it around.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And we haven't spoken about this, right? But the creator of the game is one of the showrunners and creators.
Oh, Neil Druckmann?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's putting his heart and soul into this shit.
Which is kind of fucking crazy, right? Like George R. Martin had a part to play in Game of Thrones. The authors of The Expanse who were writers on the show. But this guy is like...
He's like essentially the director of it.
Yeah, and then you got the Chernobyl guy.
Charge.
I didn't write his name down, but I'll know it by next episode. So yeah, you got the actual creator of the game creating the show with the Chernobyl guy, which is, it's kind of unique, right?
Isn't it amazing that a video game adaptation succeeded when the guy who made the game got complete control of the series? It's fucking rocket science, isn't it?
Oh, shit, eh?
Yeah, it's people just trying to push him down and say, nah, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Can you imagine trying to tell this story, but, it can't be that scary, man. No, you can't. Oh, dude, you can't have a little girl dying like that. Can't you just have it, like, hit a leg or something?
Yeah.
You know, that's like the driving point of the story. Nah.
That'll offend the Puerto Rican market.
But they're nailing it so far. Anyway, where was I? No. Yeah, so there's a moment when Joel and Ellie go to the apartment.
Yeah.
Tess has gone to check out the guns or whatever it is that she offered him in the game it's guns, but she offers her something way more in this. But anyway, Joel and Ellie get to this thing and it's like he lies down on the couch, identical to the game.
Really?
I lies down on the couch and they have a bit of a conversation. Ellie's got this shit with a book and all that. That wasn't in the game, but that was a nice little thing.
They worked well there. I've been like speculating about their relationship and I haven't seen a lot. But that little moment, I was like, okay, all right, they're working well together. They got some little chemistry going on. Maybe. Not yet? We're not there yet?
Compared to the scene in the game, right?
Okay,
so that part where it goes onto the couch is perfect.
Yes.
There's little lines here which are the same, but they do not capture the same emphasis as in the game. When Joel lies on the couch, she's like, what are you doing? He's like, killing time. And she's like, Ellie in the game, she's like, well, what am I supposed to do? Like a confused 14-year-old. Yeah. But in the show, she gets all snappy and she's like, what am I supposed to do?
She's a badass. I've been telling you this, Mark.
And then Joel's just like, I'm sure you will figure that out. Like in a fully text, and like, I'm sure you'll figure it out. And then it's a bit of silence with a little slow acoustic, like playing, and then she's like pauses a second, and it's like, your watch is broken. And then you just see Joel flinch, his eyes open up a little bit as he remembers Sarah, and then kind of drifts off to sleep.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Like that wasn't. It's just like you watch this broken. Like you watch this broken.
Yeah.
It just felt rushed. In the game, to me, that part, because even after that, after he notices that the music continues a little bit before it fades to black.
Yeah.
You know?
Interesting.
And
They didn't have that little moment. Yeah. Well, they did, but it was, not of the same emotional depth.
No. It was also a darker blue in tinge as opposed to the orange, which they were showing prevalently in this scene. So I guess that was the calming tone with the rain.
Yeah.
And then when he comes to, the conversation they have is very different. It's really interesting because the conversation they have there is a conversation you have while you're playing the game, walking with Ellie to get to that apartment. They didn't have that scene, so they cut that dialogue into this scene.
From like gameplay.
Yeah, when he says, "So what are you, some kind of big wig's daughter?" See, I say it texting automatically.
Yeah.
But what do you? The exact line for line there.
That's interesting. That shows like a knowledge and care of the game if they're taking lines from gameplay and being like, oh, that could be adaptable.
So much about their relationship is through gameplay, you know? These conversations they have while they're just walking.
It was one of them video games.
But there's
which is a involve interaction with the user interface, a joystick, a controller, etc., and generates an audio-visual feedback.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Mark?
But when he wakes up, I feel like they did very well with this scene in the show.
Yeah.
But I still don't feel like it captured the same as in the game.
Yeah, that's interesting. I just missed all of that because I had no idea about the game.
She kind of,
it seemed like a fine moment to me.
She says, "I've ever been in the outside world." That was all spot on and everything.
Yeah.
But in the game, she just says there's a line that she says that I just cannot for the life of me figure out why they left out. It's a small interchange, not a full conversation. Where they're just talking a little bit, like, "You mumble in your sleep, blah blah blah." She's like, "I hate bad dreams." As she's staring out into the rain, this dark. There's no light. It's just the light coming in from the street lights.
Yeah.
Instead of this bright orange.
Yeah.
And then she's like, she turns and she goes, "I've never been outside the wall. It couldn't possibly be worse out there than in here, right?"
Yeah.
And then Joel, he stands up and says, "What the hell do they want you for?" And then Tess comes in the door and interrupts them.
Yeah, true.
Like, he gets almost angry because he's like, "You have no fucking idea what you were about to walk into."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's getting, and they had a bit more of a conversation. They're kind of like somewhat not so angry, and then Tess comes in.
Far more casual.
But in the game, there's this intensity from Joel's he's pushing her like, "I don't want anything to do with you."
Yeah.
You know?
Interesting, yeah. This one is like, just kind of distant and uncaring. He holds a gun to her head.
But this is what I'm saying. Like it's like they're trying to make Joel a nicer guy. He at this point in the story, he is a fucking dark. He's just he doesn't. It's about him.
Yeah.
About survival.
Yeah. It might still go there. I mean.
I'm still faithful it will.
Yeah.
I have worry.
You should. That'll be good. You should have worry.
But just it's just
thing.
I really am, like, to a great degree, as you can see. These little things you just notice in the act, even though it's a game.
Yeah.
There's still people acting that they had all that shit all over their face and
motion capture, Avatar style.
Yeah. So anyway, now we can cut to where they're trying to escape.
So they're trying to escape the zone, and old Jolie comes in contact with that.
We didn't even mention his mate, the fucking SWAT guy. We probably should have mentioned him because he's such a big part with getting his face smashed in later.
Yeah, there's some guy who was selling.
He wasn't in the game.
Is he just some random that Joel? Does Joel smash anyone?
They're just soldiers, and I'll explain that when we get to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this guy they made a.
This was a character. He was like dealing him fucking endone, and he's trying to buy a car off of him and stuff.
So the pill thing, actually, that's a really cool thing I wanted to bring up. Thank you for sparking that. In the game, you get pills. So that you can up your maximum health, and it's like points you get so you can upgrade your character. So you're always looking for pills so you can take them and increase, cause you can increase weapon sway and all that sort of shit. That's your stats upgrades.
Yeah.
So I love the way they've already included the pills into this.
Yeah.
If he finds them throughout the show, like he does in the game.
He's already done a bunch of pills and passed out.
Exactly. So yeah, that was cool. But his character is like, yeah, okay. That's interesting that you did that.
They set him up.
I don't mind it.
He's a character that Joel knows. And yeah, So Ellie knows she's gonna fucking test positive because she's got like the Alfred Hitchcock MacGuffin magic blood. She's like the cure to disease or something. We'll get into it later. It doesn't matter, right? So she stabs him with a knife, and he's like, "What the fuck? This shit's gotten real." And he like points the gun at Ellie, and Joel gets a flashback to Sarah, and it cuts into the image. And I was kind of like, "Is that too on the nose?" But I think it works. I think it's a nice little sequence. And I think flash into Sarah, even though we didn't maybe need it, I think it looks nice.
I think it's essential for people who weren't picking up on all the signs.
Yeah.
There are people like that.
I guess they're like on their phones ordering Uber Eats and shit.
Exactly.
Like, oh, is your daughter dead? Grandma, get a garlic bread, you bitch!
Yeah, no, in the game, it's just these two random soldiers happen to, you know, hit Joel with a fucking pistol whipping down.
Yeah.
So, and then, you know, have guns on him. It's like, oh, I'm so sick of this shit. There's two of them. And they scan him like, oh. Just having a general conversation like, how fucking much longer do we have to be out here sort of thing, like I just want to go home sort of thing.
Yeah.
Just scanning and then just having a chat and everything. And I guess Ellie's not even looking at her when he's doing the scan and it pops up red. And then she turns and stabs him. And then Tess and Joel just go into instant fucking kill mode. Joel grabs one, Tess shoots one in the head, and then they shoot her. There's no beating that happens. Joel essentially punches them back and then kills them. Like,
yeah. This one, the guy's holding a rifle and Joel ducks under it. He gets his double hands locked, he brings him down, he gets on the full mount, he rears up and he starts landing down blows. The other guy does not even have his guard up. He should be pushing
well, he's essentially a mate, right?
He's fucked. And Ellie, and I only picked up on this because the little, the behind the scenes fucking thing, the creator of the game and the show, both of them, they were talking about, the fact that Joel is like beating the fuck out of this guy and Ellie is like, she likes the idea of him protecting her and like she's into the moment. Whereas Sarah earlier on, where Joel knocked out Grandma, she was like repelled by it and she was frightened and she didn't like it. Here, Ellie is like into it. She's like, this guy's protecting me.
That whole emotional feeling plays a big part in the game. And that's
I didn't even realize that Ellie had
so
done that
because Joel's trying to reject her.
Yeah. But he's also getting Vietnam PTSD flashbacks to Sarah and
But see,
defending her.
this is another thing I'm trying to say about them trying to make Joel into a nicer character. Yes, he did beat that guy to death, but that's because he got a PTSD flashback of thing. I mean, there's parts in the game where you're grabbing random cunts, throwing them to the floor, and then fucking stomping their heads in. Joel doesn't give a fuck about a random soldier. You know what I mean? Like, this happens. You can literally zoom in and look at their crushed faces.
I don't know if the show will do a whole lot of fucking head stomping.
I'm not necessarily saying that to have head stomps, but is it not okay for him to just be a motherfucker who's not afraid to kill a cunt?
Yeah, but I mean, it becomes more intense because in the show he knows him and they have a rapport. And
no, I didn't. Like I said, I didn't hate it either. Yeah. I still enjoyed it, and the fact that they built him up before. Yeah. It was still a very good scene. These are just literally just criticisms as opposed to the original story.
That's fair. He did appear to have
none of this is an actual problem I had with it. I enjoyed everything about it, and I think a lot of the things they did nail better.
Yeah,
but not everything.
That's fair.
You know?
That's good.
But I think a big part of that too is I'm playing through Joel in the game.
Yeah.
It's feeling it as, well, watching is a lot more sit back and do watching this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I played through him for 10 hours, you know what I mean? Or 30 hours for Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah.
In the show, you know, and that's fine. The thing about it is I can look into it already knowing what these characters are capable of. That was cool too, that scene where it's like, I know what you guys are capable of, and I was like, what are they capable of? And then George's like, yeah, no, that's what he's capable of, Ellie.
So he beats this guy to death. They enter into the contaminated
zone. They find out that Ellie's immune.
Kind of. I mean, they're just like, why the fuck are you testing negative? And she's like, this happened ages ago. And
they don't buy it.
Security guy
goes, get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, we need to go. And
that's the same as the game.
Yeah.
He's like, Joel's like, why are we smoking an infected girl? And throws the fucking thing at her.
Yeah. So yeah, you got the infected thing, you got the entering in a contaminated zone, and then the radio plays the 80s song, which means something bad is happening.
They have to fucking go. That part in the game was fucked. In order to get to that point where the soldiers capture you, you've already fucking winded and weaved and sprinting from these cunts with fucking submachine guns.
Yeah.
Because no matter what, I could never once sneak through that part without being noticed.
True.
Fucked. In the rain, it's so dark, and there's just spotlights going everywhere.
Yeah.
And then they finally like, we got out of there, sort of thing, and then they go through just this like sewer pipe, and then they come out the other side, and that's when the guy pistol whips Joel.
Yeah.
That's how they get him down.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it's just more like, adventure, action moments, I guess.
Once again, it wasn't a necessary thing to be a thing in the show.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily move the narrative forward, other than just being a sequence.
If they had included that shit, they couldn't have expanded on the, the Sarah and that sort of shit. They couldn't have expanded on all this shit. So you need to make cuts.
Yeah.
Of course.
It's more of a drama.
And I'm okay with it. It's fucking brilliant. Yeah. It is phenomenal. I'm really surprised by how well they've done with it.
So, in conclusion, and this will be a long in conclusion.
In conclusion.
Okay.
Okay, there's more to it there. So they move on, and they're walking off into the fucking distance, right?
Yeah.
Right towards these two fucking buildings where one of them is completely collapsed on the other. And there's a storm happening.
Yes.
Rain, it captures the scene perfectly of what they're about to walk into.
Yes.
I can't say what happens in the game next, but just those two towers to me are iconic Last of Us. The fact that they made them the ending thing to me tells me this is for the fans. Yeah. This is the people who play the game because that is such a landmark, like
iconic imagery.
Not necessarily crazy intense. Well, I mean, crazy intense things happen, but story-driven crazy events happen in that particular thing.
It's just an iconic image of the game.
A cool part of the game. A really cool concept that I really hope they adapt properly. If they even do it, they may skip it, and I really hope they don't.
Interesting.
You know, it's just, I don't know, I'm forever in fear with this sort of shit.
Yeah, we've been burned before.
Mm-hmm.
Game of Thrones.
Dude, Picard!
Yeah.
You can now do in conclusion, I'm sorry.
In conclusion, and this can be extended in conclusion. I'm in!
Oh, you're in.
I'm in. They sold me on it, I'm in.
In my conclusion, like I said, everything I said was pet peeves. I have no issues with this. A lot of people have issues. Actually, I have to mention one thing that I do have an issue with.
Go on. We
just never quite got it. That part where they went down into the thing and there was a clicker on the wall.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about that anywhere near enough.
That's fine.
That's a clicker. That's what's in the wall. That is something which is coming later. That's what further infection can bring.
Yeah.
The fungi come onto their fucking eyes. They can't see anymore.
Yeah.
They have to respond to hearing. And they sit there and they make a clicking noise because all their vocal cords are being closed up by all the fungus and shit.
Yeah.
And they sit there and they have a sonar device. Every so often they'll click and they'll go, and then it's like a sonar. If you're making any movement at all, they can see you.
That's going to be amazing in the show.
If they do it.
Why would they not do it?
I don't know. Well, there's no spores. This is a thing I have a problem with if they don't include it. They do not, there was no spores anywhere near that clicker which had fucking fused to the wall and the whole fungal outbreak. Normally in a situation like that, spores spray out, which if humans breathe in, they get infected. That's how the infection started. The fungus, that's how it infects things with spores.
Yeah.
Even in nature, that's how the ants do it. They explode into these fucking mushrooms and the spores come out and you breathe it in. They have to wear gas masks whenever they go into rooms with spores. They're constantly spores, gas masks on, sort of thing. But Ellie doesn't have to. Ellie can breathe spores because she's infected.
Yeah.
That is a massive part of the story.
Yeah. And they didn't.
They didn't have spores there. I chalked it up to maybe it's because that fucking thing was dead.
Yeah.
But there was never a case where you'd see that shit on the wall where the room wasn't completely filled with like this foggy, spory, like just little things floating in this dust in the room the entire time. I feel if they've taken this out of the series, you're taking a huge component out. People find out she's immune because she's breathing in spores. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It breaks everything.
They might still do the spores.
They might still do the spores. I'm hoping it's just because that thing
spores with this guy.
There were spores in that part of the game though. And there was a guy on the floor who was trapped under this fucking massive cabinet that had fallen. His gas mask had broken and he hasn't turned yet. And he's like, please just kill me. Kill me, please. Don't let me turn into one of those things.
Yeah.
So you have the choice of killing him or leaving.
Yeah.
I always kill him. I feel so bad for the guy.
That's nice.
But,
good guy,
but yeah, no, then yeah, that wasn't there either. But no, that's my one actual fear, genuine fear. If they don't include the spores, it's a massive drop for me.
True. Well, we'll see.
Won't ruin the whole thing though. I think I'll still enjoy it regardless.
Well,
but
only time will tell.
But in conclusion, I think they fucking nailed it and keep the goods coming, guys.
Yeah. In conclusion, it looks really nice. It looks super expensive. Super emotionally invested in the first 33 minutes. I thought it was incredible. A+, A+. I'm in. The world is cool. It's fucking dark. It's crazy. People keep on telling me that it's good. So we'll see what happens. Thank you for watching. We'll see you guys again next time.
So tell me,